Fearless.
Chase.
Bold.
Following.
Courageous.
Search. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Marshall.
And this is
Undaunted
Pursuit. Hey, how you doing, Marshall?
Doing good, Aaron. How you doing?
Good. Oh boy, what a eventful day. I couldn't get set up fast enough, you know.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You worked. Did you work a little bit later today?
Yeah, I did. And if you guys are just joining us, welcome back to the Undaunted Pursuit podcast. So thanks for joining us today. We're going to get into this, and I don't know, we may not get into it too far. We may have a couple of Ashley is working kind of with me now at the office. And so I left with her. It's like, I got to do a podcast. I'm out. See ya. And so I ran home. I ran in the door. I feel so bad on days that we got to do these podcasts because I'll run in the door. Hey, boys, good to see you, boys. I love you, babies. You know, blah, blah, blah. Get ready for football. Get ready for football. And then, so they're getting ready for football. I'm changing out because I don't want to stay in those. I really, when it's warm like this, and of course, it's in the 70s. It's hot. I'm sweating here. But when it's warm like this, I want to get out of those boots and pants as fast as possible. And so that's kind of what took me so long today. And of course, I had to wrangle up all my junk because I've been out at fire camp. Of course, the kids this is why I need a studio is because the kids won't leave the microphone alone. The kids won't leave the headphones alone. And so now if you look at this, check this out. So I've got my microphone cord is fraying because they just won't leave it alone. Or not my microphone cord, but that's a headphone cord. And so, yeah, it's starting to fall apart. My goodness. Yeah. So you've been busy?
I've been busy. Work's actually getting really busy for me. I probably got about 4 or 5 new orders or new serves, we call them, last night. Between yesterday and last night. But which is good. It's keeping me busy. A lot of waiting on customers to get me information and stuff so I can properly design things. But it's going good. Been busy, staying. Life is good. Can't complain. It's good stuff.
Good. No, it's just, we got so much to do. And of course, I was waiting on a fuel load today and I ran out and I took care of some business and trying to figure out, I'm not going to make it up into the woods this year I'm going to make it there for hunting. But if I'm hunting, I'm sure as heck not bringing my chainsaw to cut firewood. I'm going to spend that time hunting. So I had to go and talk to this company. They actually, I had to talk to this company about getting firewood from them. And so that's going to work out. But man, winter is approaching fast.
Is it?
And there is not enough time in the day.
It's been in the 80s here. It's been getting down into the 50s. I think Sunday night it got down to like 48 or 49. So I'm truly enjoying this cooler weather in the evenings and the mornings. And I walk out to my truck to get ready to go to work. It feels so nice. I'm like, this is my kind of weather. If it could say if it could go into the 60s, low 70s during the day and then like be in the 40s and 50s at night, I would love that.
Boy, it's cool in the mornings here though. I mean, it's awfully stinking nice. Oh yeah.
I'll bet.
Yeah, it's in the 40s and then 70s during the day, and then next week is supposed to be in the 60s during the day. So that'll be.
Man, that's my kind of weather.
Oh man, you know it. So anyway, hey, by the way, I loved I never responded to you. I'm terrible at responding to texts, but I did get your text and I did watch your video on the on Facebook. About the Jesus chicken. Yeah. Gotta love it.
It is. That's the only holy fast food joint there is around, old Chick-fil-A.
Right. Oh man. Yeah, no, that was pretty good. I don't know what I would come up with. I mean, we have the only like fast food joint that I could promote around here that is anywhere else is either Taco John's or Subway. That's the only thing. That's the only two really fast food joints that we got around here that's nationwide,
Yeah. Well, Well, maybe one of these days a Chick-fil-A will come in town.
Nah, not here.
You can open one up. You can open up a Chick-fil-A.
I'm too busy. Speaking of which, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Chick-fil-A, they like pay for everything. You only have to like pay so much. You own like a portion of the business, franchise. And of the franchise, and they do everything else. It's kind of a neat deal. So open one up where you're at.
No, that ain't happening. I have other ambitions. Come to find out, though, I did find out that there are, I just learned this today, that there are grants out there that'll pay for all this like firewood processing stuff. So it's like, here lately I've been wanting a skid steer. And, if you give firewood to needy people, like people in need, fuel assistance, people that need heat during the winter, as long as you do that, the grant will cover this processing equipment, which is crazy. I was like, well, maybe that might be... something to think about. Like I need to take on another business.
Yeah, you got your hands for it now.
Man, yeah, with everything, what we've got going on here at the house as far as, projects and kids in sports and who knows what. It's like we got 2 kids now in football, which that's going good. They're catching on pretty good. This is their first year in football. We've done wrestling up until this point. We've been hardcore wrestlers for a good at least 2 years, maybe 3. I don't know. But now they wanted to try some other sports. So now they've gotten into football and they're loving it. And I'm actually kind of enjoying watching their games. But, along with that comes, and then, we got our only girl is in dance. And Logan, my third oldest, he wants to do karate, which the nearest karate place is like an hour away. Hour and a half away.
Wow.
So yeah, life is busy. That's what crazy. I would like to see though? If we're going to drive that far, I would love to get all the kids in hockey. Oh man. You ever seen a hockey game?
There you go. Oh yeah, I've seen the Dallas Stars play in Dallas. I've been to one. I've been to one Dallas Stars game, and it was really good. It was a good game. Of course, if they don't get in a fight when it comes to professional stuff, it's not as fun. But they got in a fight, so I didn't enjoy it.
No, man, those hockey games are pretty awesome. I do. I wouldn't mind if they got into hockey, but I tell you what, that is a small investment.
Oh, I bet it is.
No, it's not Mr. Adam. It's Mr. Marshall.
Hi, Mr. Marshall.
Is Mommy home yet? She's scared of the jumping spider.
She wants you because of the jumping
spider. All right. So we have
those darn jumping spiders.
Halloween decorations. Uh-oh. It's about to get real up in here. Hey, what's going on? Hey, easy with the thing.
We put in the jumping spider, and we just wanted to see if it still works, and it jumped, and Sissy was like, "Oh!" and it jumped again. And she's like, "I want Daddy." She's terrified of it. Yeah, she is.
All right. Hey, we're actively doing a podcast here, so wait for Mommy to get home and then she'll take you. Okay. Oh, shoot. Hold on a second here. Where's my phone? Hey, we're back at the house now. We ain't got no fire camp. Hold on a second.
Now it's child camp.
Yeah, now it's child camp, right? All right, hold on a second here. Take a break. All right, and we're back. Yeah. Had to take a little break there.
Just a little break.
Oh, man.
Taking care of business.
Yeah. So where were we? Yeah, hockey. Small investment. We'll leave it at that. It is what it is. So that's the story of my life right now. Dealing with, oh my gosh, they're out there screaming like banshees. Hey, Marshall, can you hang on just a second? Just hold on.
Check it out.
All right. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm coming to see which side I got. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Okay, I'm back. Here I am.
He's back and ready for business.
Back in business, buddy. back in business. All right. Well, heck, what else happened this week? Let me think about it. Oh, we went elderberry picking. Of course, we like to try, and we're not real, we like to try and live off the land as much as possible, as far as we'll go pick. Idaho is awesome. And, I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea, because we don't need any more people moving into Idaho, but it's, besides you, Marshall, but we need it is awesome as far as like wild edibles everywhere you look. I was out delivering fuel the other day, and I was hungry and I didn't bring any lunch, so I was hungry. So what did I do? I pull over, I pick a couple apples, I eat them for lunch. There
you go.
And so there's just wild apple trees. There's wild plum trees, wild cherry trees, there's like a cross between a cherry and a plum. There's wild pear trees.
A chum.
We went out this weekend, picked yeah. But what else is there? There's blackberries as far as the eye can see. There's currants, of course, elderberries. That's what we were picking this weekend. And what else do we like to pick? Of course, that's
so more or less.
We're just talking fruit.
So more or less, everybody that's moving to Texas, stop and move to Idaho and go eat fresh fruit.
That's right. And you know what? I was delightfully surprised to see that we actually found, the first time in I think we've been here 5 years now, we actually found some grapevines. We haven't found those since we lived in Tennessee. We used to go out muscadine picking and fox grape picking in Tennessee, and I was kind of, it was the only fruit that I was kind of sad that didn't grow here, but we finally found a little grove of grapevines. And I was like, oh, heck yeah.
My grandparents, when they lived on Cedar Creek Lake out in East Texas, they had honeysuckle vines on their fence. And it was there for years and years, man. It was pretty much my whole life, it seemed like. And we'd go over there and pick those honeysuckles off and squeeze what little tiny bit of honey came out of that honeysuckle into a bowl and just eat, honeysuckle after honeysuckle. Oh, it was so good. I miss that. I miss that so much. That and the blackberries in Missouri. I'll bet.
There are more blackberries here. We had our fair share of blackberries in Tennessee, but I don't remember finding near the amount of fruit growing up in Missouri than I do here. There's fruit everywhere. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty awesome. So we went out elderberry picking this past weekend, and it was so here I am coming off a fire camp, and I had been walking in and out of. Hold on, I gotta adjust this computer here. I don't need you to look. You just need to look at my beautiful face. You don't need to look at anything else. But anyway, so I had spent this time going in and out of the RV for the past month with the steps out. So when I park it here at the house, I leave the steps up for the winter, just because I don't want them out for the whole winter.
Right.
And so here I am getting drinks and stuff out of, I had grabbed this flat of drinks, and I'm walking out. Well, I'm walking out of the RV like there's steps there, and there are no steps there. So I took, yeah. Boy, I messed my ankle up. I landed on it sideways, and it popped. And Ashley thought I broke my ankle because I just took a dive. I hit the ground so hard that the case of water or whatever I had broke open and spilt all over the ground, and or whatever. She said it broke open. Maybe not all over the ground, but so I'm like, they're like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. Just let me walk this off. I gotta walk this off." And I'm like, I'm walking around, biting my fist, and like, ugh. And I'm just walking, and then we proceed to go out into the woods and hike up and down these mountains, and But
oh man,
yeah, I just stepped.
Did you ever go and get an X-ray done?
Step there. I don't go to the doctor.
I know that, but I mean, it could be a fracture. Could be.
Maybe.
So how is it now?
Not anymore. It's good. It's sore. It's a little sore, but it's getting better. So hey,
good deal.
It heals.
It does.
It'll be all right. If it was broken, there'd be a bone sticking out.
It's possible.
Then that might require a visit. to the doctor.
Yeah, I mean, a
little bit of like splinting and butterfly stitches wouldn't hurt,
Yeah, a little bit of super glue.
Hey, speaking of butterfly stitches, so here I am with my ailment, and Ashley calls me up last night. I'm just about to get off work, and she's like, "Hey, Hunter may need stitches in the back of his head." I was like, "What the heck happened now?" Well, he must have ran his head into a bolt on the trampoline, and so I come home. I was like, "Oh heck, he don't need stitches. We don't need to go to the doctor. Dang it!" I was like, I got these steri strips in my medical bag from in our first aid kit and stuff. Let's just shave the spot and let's put some steri strips on there and we'll call her good. And it was good. It wasn't that deep, but not worth. Going to the doctor nowadays is just such a pain. Who wants to mess with that?
It
anymore?
is. Speaking of kids getting hurt, so I get a phone call from my younger brother Matt, and my nephew, my sister's youngest, he's 2 years old. He was running through the house, and there was a piece of cardboard on the wood laminate, and he hit that cardboard, and he slid, and he pretty much did the splits, but not like the normal splits. It was like one leg in front and one leg went behind. And long story short, it ended up. He ended up getting a fracture in his femur, which is, the big part of your thigh. Yeah, fracture his femur. And so now he's got like a full cast that entire leg, and, poor little guy. He's only 2 years old. But thankfully he's young, so he'll heal quickly and it'll heal well. But yeah, he's kind of immobile right
Hopefully. Now. Well, heck, I mean, look at Savannah. She's still got a little 15-degree deviation that's going to straighten out in the next a degree a year is what it'll straighten when she broke her arm on that bunk bed. So because they couldn't get it, they never got it. They got it set good enough, but it's still not like the straightest, but they say it'll heal and straighten a degree a year. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it is.
But it's funny how the seasons kind of, your priorities and everything. It's like, oh man, now that fall is set in, now your mindset goes to, okay, I got to get the gun rifle, I got to get the rifle sighted in, or I got to get the bow sighted in, which we've already had our bow season, which I missed for elk and deer actually. But anyway, so now gun season getting ready to ramp up. And let me tell you, Marshall, it is biblical to be hunting. We talked about, we as a family like to hunt for wild edibles, and we live off of the meat that we kill. And and for and of course there's plenty of yuppies out there that'll argue against that, but my goodness, it even is in the Bible.
Those yuppies. See, when fall comes, you get to thinking about hunting and shooting and killing. Them old yuppies, they get thinking about pumpkin spice lattes and coffees. You know what I'm
saying? Yeah. Oh man. And there towards like at the beginning of fall, the pumpkin spice stuff, that's okay. That is all right. But it gets old. You know what doesn't get old, though? As we get closer to Christmas? Eggnog.
Yeah. Oh, man. Eggnog. I'm all about that eggnog. Oh, love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm. So let me see here. It was in... Oh, there it is. Nope. I'm on the wrong stuff here. I got too many things pulled up here that I want to talk about tonight. And we're already like, I don't know, whatever minutes into this, and we haven't oh, it is this one. Okay, hold on. So the main thing that out of the New Testament is in Acts. And let me see if I can't find it here. Because I told you hunting was biblical, right?
Oh, it's biblical. So I've got a little something right here that breaks it all down.
Look at you.
I do, and
I've been so busy.
Well, I cheated. I got this app called Got Questions. It's a biblical app, and you can just type in just about any darn question you want, and it gives you some sort of answer. It's really good stuff.
I use that quite often. It's funny that you sent me something earlier, and I pulled it up and was like, oh, well, I've already been using that site for a long time.
I guess I'm behind the times.
So here, Peter is. It's coming out of Acts, and Peter is getting hungry. They're on their way approaching the city, and I'm starting in Acts chapter 10, verse 9. Peter went up on the roof of the house at about the 6th hour, which is noon, to pray. But he became hungry and wanted something to eat. While the meal was being prepared, he fell into a trance, and he saw the sky opened up, and an object like a great sheet descending, lowered by its four corners to the earth. And it contained all kinds of four-footed animals and crawling creatures of the earth and birds of the air. A voice came to him, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." And then, but Peter said, "Not all, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common, which is unholy, and ceremonially unclean." And the voice came to him a second time, "What God has cleansed and pronounced clean, no longer consider common or unholy." And so this happened 3 times, and immediately the object was taken up into heaven. So, and that was confusing to Peter, because at the time, from the time Adam and Eve were in the garden, we kind of started as vegetarians. But then you get into a little further in the Old Testament in Genesis there, and you start seeing that even what was it? Let me look up this, because was it Isaac that was? Which one of them was where it was a hunter? Now I got to go back and look.
Don't give me the lion.
What's that?
I said, don't get me to lying.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So in chapter 10 of Genesis, it's going through the descendants of Noah, and in Nimrod, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. I know. Isn't that something?
Sorry. My stepdad used to call me a Nimrod all the time when I was a kid. Rabbit trail.
You were a mighty hunter.
Little did he know what he was saying,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
But so this, most of this stuff came after, the ability to hunt animals and being okay hunting animals came after the flood. And so where I'm going to start off here was after Noah, after the flood, and they've hit dry land, and God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. The fear and terror of you shall be instinctive in every animal of the land and in every bird of the air, and together with everything that moves on the ground and with all the fish of the sea, they are given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I give you everything as I gave you the green plants and the vegetables." But here's where it is. "But you shall not eat meat along with its life, that is, its blood. For your lifeblood I will most certainly require accounting. From every animal that kills a person I will require it. And from every man's brother, that is anyone who murders, I will require the life of a man." So, but anyway, kind of not the point of what I was trying to get through, but to kind of give you a little context of what they were talking about in there. But, God was telling Noah, even from the beginning, that that God gave us all these animals on the earth. That's why it's okay. That's why in our household, we try and live off the land as much as we can. God put it here for us, and to be good stewards of it as well.
Yeah, and to kind of back up what you're saying, I've got a little thing here that talks about that. It talks about other verses. So it says at the beginning of creation, animals mainly...
Hold on. I just noticed. I don't know how long you've been offline, but you're offline.
It shows me online on this end.
Boy, I sure hope you are.
It pulled up as the service was lost, and then it said it was reconnected. I saw it pop up.
Oh, all right.
So I think it's good.
Rock on, then.
Rocking on. So it says at the beginning of creation, animals mainly served as helpers and enjoyment and not food, because Adam and animals alike were vegetarians, and it talks about that in Genesis 1:29-30. However, note also that man was to rule over the earth and subdue it. The earth and all that it had were meant to serve the needs of man. It wasn't until after the flood, like Aaron was just saying in Genesis 9, that meat became a source of food for both animals and man. Since the animals and the plants of the earth were put under the control of man, God gave the responsibility to man to learn and to use them to his pleasure. That is why using animals in research is acceptable, because they are meant to be used instead of humans. Animals do not have the same form of eternal soul and likely do not experience an afterlife. This does not mean that we can be cruel and intend evil towards them. Interesting.
That is interesting. And that's another, I want you to kind of save that, Marshall, because I want to kind of use part of that as, we're going to start trying to get into some stuff in a different podcast, not tonight's podcast. But what you were saying kind of goes into what I had somebody ask me if I thought that the earth and every living thing in it has a a spirit, I guess, or
Yeah.
soul or a spirit or something. And I said, man, I really don't want to get into this right now. But I told him, basically, short answer, and we'll get into this on another time, is I told him no, because God breathed the breath of life into us, and he created everything else. You know, yes, he created us, but he breathed life into mankind, you know, into Adam and Eve. But I haven't really done a deep dive study into that, and I want to do that before we actually get into the soul versus spirit kind of a thing. But that's kind of going to be leading up to getting into some of these adult versions of these children's stories we heard growing up in church and everything. So, but yeah, I like that, Marshall.
Yep, right on out of the Got Questions app. Yeah, maybe the Got Questions app will support Undaunted Pursuit podcast.
Right.
Got questions?
Right.
Get the Got Questions app.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to beat that horse to death. So that's all I have to say. I'm gearing up for hunting season. It's hunting season. So, hey, we're going to go out and try and kill us anything that moves. Bear, elk, deer. We need to put some meat in the freezer because, you know, yeah, God gave us the permission to do so, but it is also a little bit cheaper because meat is expensive at the store right now.
Boy, it is. I tell you what I need to do is make a trip up there to Idaho and a nice little hunting trip with you is what I need to do.
Heck yeah. But so, you know, this is kind of we're covering several different topics tonight, Marshall, that, you know, I kind of gave you a heads up on earlier in the week. But so Sunday, the pastor brought up something in his sermon that I wasn't quite sure about. Hold on. Oh, anyway, sorry. I'm still getting work emails. I'm at home, you know. Anyway, so Sunday in the message, he brings up this thing that was like, you know, I don't know why it's surprising, which it's not surprising, but it is surprising all at the same time. And he was talking about this. For some, we don't watch the news, okay? And so this is all new news to me, but I guess apparently there was this thing that happened over in England somewhere about this mechanical bull and people worshiping it, and it's like, really? You know, Ashley, we get home and Ashley was talking about it, and I was like, what are you talking about? You know? He's like, is that seriously happening again? I mean, he's like, when I heard it, of course, you know, when I'm sitting there and we're reading through scripture and stuff, I get a little sidetracked, and I'll read on through scripture while they're preaching and stuff like that. And so I was just like, oh, he's talking about worshiping this bull and, you know, Baal and stuff like that. I thought he was just talking about, I didn't realize that this was taking place in modern time, you know? And it's like, so she gets home, we're talking about it. I was like, no way. She's like, yeah, look it up. It's crazy. You look it up on YouTube, look up mechanical bull, some or another on YouTube or whatever. So I looked it up and I was like, no way is this happening again. You know, the old adage that history repeats itself. Well, here it is, folks. You know, what do you think is going to happen? What is this machinery, this man-made creation gonna do for you? What are these people kneeling down and bowing down to this thing for? Did you get a chance to watch that, Marshall?
I haven't gotten a chance to watch that, but when you told me that, I immediately thought about when I went to India on a mission trip. So I remember one day we had stopped at this like mall or something like that, and now granted, I believe it's Hinduism that's really, really big in India, and they have like thousands of gods, right? That they worship and idols and stuff. And so I saw this cow, and cattle is worshipped in India. They don't eat it. And there's cattle just roaming the streets. Well, there was this cow standing out front of this mall, and they had like leis and jewelry and stuff just draped all over this cow. And this guy walks up to the butt of the cow and starts wafting the rear of the cow and worshiping and praying to this cow. And and I sit there watching. I was like, what in the world is this guy doing? But, you know, not only is it, you know, I guess it may, you know, I wouldn't say it's culture, but it's just that religion, which is false. It's not right. But I also got a kick out of it too. So, hey, look, the guy's worshiping the butt of a cow. And I was like, what are the odds?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It says multiple times in God's word that we should have no other gods before him. Exodus 20 verse 3, and this is going back into the ancient of times. You should have no other gods before me. Okay. John 14:6. Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. We can go on and on and on about how wrong this is. At least we're putting our faith and trust in a living, breathing God and the creator of all things. Well, did a cow create everything? No. What is? I just don't understand it. What in this world makes that okay?
Let me read a few things from this app I have. I just typed in false idols so first the definition of idolatry is according to Webster, is the worship of idols or excessive devotion to or reverence for some person or thing. An idol is anything that replaces the one true God. The most prevalent form of idolatry in Bible times was the worship of images that were thought to embody the various pagan deities. Now, from the beginning, God's covenant with Israel was based on exclusive worship of him alone in Exodus 23 and Deuteronomy 5:7. The Israelites were not even to mention the names of false gods, which talks about that in Exodus 23:13, because to do so would acknowledge their existence and give credence to their power and influence over the people. Israel was forbidden to intermarry with other cultures who embrace false gods because God knew this would lead to compromise. The book of Hosea uses the imagery of adultery to describe Israel's continual chasing after other gods, like an unfaithful wife chases after other men. And it just goes on and on and on, like Aaron was saying, just talking about idols, and it talks about the reality, and it's just it's not right. It's not okay. It's bad stuff. But an idol can be anything. It doesn't have to be just a cow like those people are worshiping over there. It can be, your phone could be an idol. Social media can be an idol. Anything you put before God and you spend more time with than you do God essentially can become an idol.
Mm-hmm. There was something I was wanting to go for here, and I was trying to look it up here while you were talking. It made me think of something, but I just don't know that. It baffles me a little bit that would be a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of this comes out of the Old Testament, of course, but the message doesn't change all the way through the whole Bible. So, what we've got to be afraid of is, let me look this up real quick here. Because while we're talking about that, I want to bring up the fact, in where it said, what are you doing? You getting tired of sitting? We've been going at this for quite a while now, haven't we?
No, it has been a minute. No, my back's getting stiff from my back injury, but I got back in the gym yesterday and today, so I've just been doing the cardio, so I'm taking it easy, but my back is getting stiff from sitting down, so I have to stand up.
Okay, so here we go. Yes. Okay, so let me look this up then. I had to look up the verse and see. It comes out of Matthew, chapter 7, 15 through 20. And this is exactly what it's talking about while we're on the topic of false idols and idol worshiping other gods. It says, Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 starts here. Beware of false prophets, teachers who come to you dressed as sheep, appearing gentle and innocent, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them, that is, by their contrived doctrine and self-focus. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Even so, every healthy tree bears good fruit, but the unhealthy tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruit you will recognize them as false prophets. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So, that's something that we got to watch for, because it warns us in the Bible that there's going to be, and that's something that they're doing with this, Marshall, is making it like, I don't know what they called it, like the bull of love or the bull of peace or something like that. They're trying to magnify this thing into some like glorious thing when it's nothing but an idol, and it's false teaching, it's misguiding, and it's exactly what God and Jesus have, it's exactly what Jesus has warned us about, false teachings. Be watchful of that, be watchful of people teaching anything other than Jesus is our Lord and Savior.
Right.
It's
true.
So, and going on, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Kind of leads us into another topic this week that I've seen has gained in popularity, and I brought this up to you, Marshall, earlier, was the fact that you can lose your salvation. I'm seeing a lot of things being taken out of context here lately, as far as, I myself do not believe, and it has turned into quite a controversial subject, that you can, I don't believe that you can lose your salvation. Mm-hmm. And that was what he's kind of referencing there in Matthew is the fact that, yes, even the demons and the evil one, they all believe Jesus is real. So it's kind of where he's going with that, is there are people that will say that they know the Lord, but they're what is it, a wolf in sheep's clothing? Mm-hmm. Is that a good analogy, I guess? Mm-hmm. Do you happen to drum up anything about that? I know you had sent me something. Let's kind of dig into that. What do you think? Do you really think that you can lose your salvation? I just don't see
honestly
it being possible.
Even as a Christian, I was never really sure about that until really recently, and honestly just reading through this stuff. When I started reading, it was in this app, it was talking about, it says, does Hebrews 6:4-6 mean we can lose our salvation? And it explains it all. And it's more or less saying that no, you can't lose your salvation. But it has a list of different verses and passages that make it abundantly clear that salvation is everlasting. And one of them is in John 10:27-29. And it says, let's see. Well, I'm going to start at 26. It says, but you do not believe. It's John 27-29, but I'm going to start in 26. It says, but you do not believe because you are not my sheep. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one can snatch them out of my hand. My Father who has given them to me is greater than all. No one can snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and the Father are one. When I read that, it kind of gave me chills and put a big smile on my face because I was just like, oh yeah, buddy, boom, mind blown. I was like, there you have it. And there's Romans 8:35 and 38-39 and Philippians 1:6 and 1 Peter 1:4-5 and Hebrews 6:4-6. These are all passages in the Bible that confirm the doctrine that you can't lose your salvation. And if you read through Hebrews 6:4-6, it talks about how it's impossible for those who have once been enlightened, and it just goes on and on, and it's really interesting. Like I got to reading all this, and I was like, wow, that is cool. And it talks about how when people talk about, oh, you can lose your salvation, and how that's more, these verses are more pertaining towards people who haven't accepted Christ as their personal Lord and Savior. That's who it's pertaining to, not those who are saved and who have accepted Jesus Christ as their personal Lord and Savior. So. It's pretty interesting.
And It is, because I've known plenty of people that were not proclaiming Christians that you could obviously tell that they were not, they had not found salvation, but yet knew the Bible better than me, and that's the kind of the way I take it, is that that we're once enlightened. That's the kind of way I take it is, excuse me, take the Pharisees, for example, and the Sadducees and all that. These guys were schooled in the Word, in the Bible, and a Bible of their time, of course, as far as it was Old Testament, but of course they were enlightened. They knew what it, I mean, if you go back and look at Isaiah warns, not warrants, but he was a prophet. And so he talked about Jesus coming. It was right in their face, and they still didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah, And so the way I take it is that's what that is referring. That's what the Bible is referring to when it's we're enlightened and fallen away. They didn't bite that. Here's a fishing analogy for you. They didn't bite that hook. They looked at it. They may have tasted it a little bit, but they didn't commit to biting the hook. They
just
didn't
went
take
downstream.
the bait. Exactly. Yeah. And I heard an argument against that as far as like losing your salvation. Well, God's not going to get in the way of your free will. Well, no, but if you've made that commitment and what was the point? This is the question that I kind of posed to the interaction that I was having, was if you could lose your salvation, what was the point of Jesus's sacrifice on the cross?
Yeah, exactly.
What was the point of what was the point of his of him coming to earth, and everything that he accomplished during his time here on earth? It was all in vain if you could lose your salvation. That is the main reason why. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the point. If somebody was trying to make a point of God's free will, that to me is kind of an invalid point, because yes, you have free will, but that decision before you accept Jesus Christ, that free will, that choice is prior to accepting Christ. So yeah, you do have free will in that moment, because you're either going to accept him or you're not. So that is before you accept him. That has nothing to do with whether, if you've accepted him, then you're not going to lose your salvation. But if you're at that point to where you're making that choice and you're utilizing that free will he's given you, then yeah, of course he's not going to get in the way, because you haven't made that decision yet. So that point to me is just very invalid. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But sorry to interrupt you. I had to get that out. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. He drops this, because of course I get to talking about salvation is through faith, and he brings up this James chapter 2, and it was James. It's a misconception that James is what's the word, contradicting Paul in Romans, but he's not. They actually, now I'm gonna let the people listening do their own research on this, but do your research and look at what some of these other scholars have said about the difference between the two. They're actually complementing each other. And so he drops this, this person drops this James chapter 2 on me. And it pretty much says, let's see, James chapter 2. Okay, chapter 2. So let's start in verse 14. What is the benefit, my fellow believers, if someone claims to have faith but has no good works as evidence? Can that kind of faith save him? No, a mere claim of faith is not sufficient. Genuine faith produces good works. So the idea, what he was arguing, this person I was conversing with, was that because I was like, no, if you consistently put your faith and trust in Jesus and what he did for us on the cross, by all definitions, you are saved. You have, and it's through his grace and mercy that we continue to be saved. And we shouldn't have to work. We shouldn't, it doesn't make sense that, we're not under that old law. Why wouldn't we have just stayed under the old law if we had to consistently do good works or live under a law of works to gain salvation? No, we're saved by faith. And from that faith, a byproduct of that faith is good works. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. You mentioned Romans. You mentioned Romans a minute ago, and there was a verse in here. Then it says, Romans 8:35 says, "Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? As it is written, for your sake we face death all day long. We are considered as sheep to be slaughtered. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord." That right there says it all. I mean, what more do you want?
Exactly. I mean, I encourage anybody listening here to get a hold of us. I don't mind having a friendly debate on this. I feel very adamant, and I'm very set in the fact that my salvation is forever, and I'm on fire for the Lord. That you can't lose your salvation. I mean, we could sit here another hour, 2 hours, and continue this. But it just seems to be that this is. From what I've seen on the social medias and everything like that this is
hot topic.
It's the devil. Yeah, it's a hot topic. It's the devil trying to play his mind games, trying to provide, that's what he's good at. He's good at causing doubt and causing. We shouldn't, if we're saved, if we have found salvation through Jesus, we shouldn't have this doubt. And that's what he wants to get through us. Get in the Word, study the Word. We've covered this in a podcast before called Saved by Grace. This is nothing new that we've talked on this podcast before. But, it seems to be popping up again and even hotter than before that I just don't think you can lose your salvation. Everything that I've studied, and I try and study pretty regularly. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect by any means, and thank the Lord that we are saved by grace, and that we can't lose our salvation, because I couldn't keep the law. I couldn't live. If we were saved by works, if we were living under a law of works and trying to keep the old law, there's no way. I've been a goner a long time ago.
I think all of us have. If it were up to that, we would all be condemned to hell, in my opinion. But you mentioned the devil. He's out to steal, kill, and destroy. And in John 10:10, it records Jesus saying that the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. So that's the devil's job. That's what he's out there to do. And but yeah, I agree with Aaron that if our faith was based on works and works alone, I mean, we would all be up the hill without a paddle, and no way to get back.
Right. And if we could lose our salvation somehow, it would be, it just doesn't make sense. We would be in the same spot we were if we were trying to live by works. So, yeah, it's be careful for that. Be careful not to. I encourage you, everything that we cover in this podcast, that any other podcast you listen to, I encourage everybody listening to this to go back and read through it for yourselves. Be careful not to take this stuff out of context, not to you read before, read after, do your research. And because the Bible is easy to take out of context, and it's easy to take verses and put them where you need to put them to fit a particular narrative, whatever you're trying to push. So, or whatever somebody is trying to push. That people do that all the time. There's verses and taking out of context all over the place. So, be careful for that.
Yep.
You know, that's what I want to say to everybody. Yeah, heck, we've got some good topics coming up here, Marshall. I think I've got
we do.
We've got some pretty awesome guests as long as they'll commit. And I got approached today about fielding an email from somebody on civil law versus spiritual law, which we kind of got into that a little bit tonight. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm anxious to see what this individual has to say about. I don't know what he wants us to cover, what he wants us to do, but he's going to send me some stuff, his thoughts and stuff, and we'll get into it on the podcast and we'll talk about it. He said it might be a little controversial. I'm not afraid of it, you know.
Nah, bring it on.
Heck yeah. So, but I think for tonight, we're going to wrap this up.
Yes.
What do you say?
I agree. I second that motion.
You second that motion. All right, you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. Bye.
See y'all later.
Hey, guys, and thank you for listening to Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. Give us a good rating on iTunes, good review, leave us 5 stars, and follow us on YouTube. Click that subscription bell. Keep up to date with the newest episodes.
And don't forget to follow us on other social media outlets such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to email us at undauntedpursuit@gmail.com and go to our website at undauntedpursuit.podbean.com.
And don't forget, if you like what you're hearing, go to Patreon, follow us on Patreon, subscribe to our channel there. There's a small tier for donations. Any help, any support, this podcast is made possible by you, the patron. We thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
And no one that I knew was too afraid to be afraid. I was raised by adventurers and rogues. It's risky filled up and watched our bridge out in the spring. But the mountain men all mended it with the timbers from the banks. Though Mother Nature tried, she couldn't break our stride. So I bow my head to Jesus and give thanks. I was raised somewhere in the pines far away, where the grizzly bear and wolf are free to roam. No one that I knew was too afraid to be afraid. I was raised by adventurers and rogues. The winter cold had teeth and bit us deep beneath our skin. It nearly did extinguish all the hope that lay within. The snow was 3 feet deep, but not deep enough to keep the lion-hearted vagabond at bay. I was raised somewhere in the pines far away, where the grizzly bear and wolf are free to roam. And no one that I knew was too afraid to be afraid. I was raised by adventurers and rogues. Adventurers and rogues taught me everything I know, how to dream and how to hold on to my hopes. So down the road I go. I was raised somewhere in the pines far away, where the grizzly bear and wolf are free to roam. No one that I knew was too afraid to be afraid. I was raised by adventurers and rogues. I was raised by adventurers and rogues. I was raised somewhere in the pines far away, where the grizzly bear and wolf are free to roam. No one that I knew was too afraid to be afraid. I was raised by adventurers and rogues. I was raised by adventurers and rogues. I was raised by adventurers and rogues.